What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Second Street. I hope you're all having a very good day today. Here we are on Friday. Man, and it's almost the end of the month, right? Friday, February 26th. Getting ready to roll into the weekend here. We got a new episode of WandaVision to talk about, and we're going to have a guest joining us as we have every Friday since WandaVision has started. We're going to have my man Chillmonger joining us here shortly. He does have some other things that he's doing right now. He'll be joining us here very shortly. I hope you're all having a very good day. Let me know if you have watched WandaVision Episode 8 and what you thought of it, and what you rated at. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't watched it, we're going to be getting into spoilers. I mean, we don't start off like, hey, spoiler warning, like it's full spoilers. This is a spoiler discussion that we are going to be having. And I got to tell you guys, once again, I thought this episode was absolutely great. Again, you know, I feel like my man Mike Porter here when I say 10 out of 10. You know, it doesn't seem like Kevin Feige is going to fail us on this series. I know the first few episodes a lot of people had issues with, you know, like the kind of slow moving episodic feel of the show, how it's playing off the old sitcoms and everything. And hey, I totally get it. Maybe you're not a sweaty like me who looks at every little detail, combing through all of it and everything. Maybe you just like seeing all the action. You want the drama unfolding in front of your face.
Hey,
what's up, man?
On. Plug my headphones in.
Okay, so give me just a second, folks. We've got our guest joining us here. Give me just a minute, and we'll bring him on. But let's see who all we got here in the chats. We got Godfather here so far. Let me see. Oh man. Oh, come on. No. There we go. All right. Now, let me get our guest on here. We've got ReeferMan Reviews joining us as well. And the Godfather says Marvel plus Harry Potter. Yes, please. 10 out of 10. ReeferMan Reviews says 10 out of 10. Nice. Okay, so give me just a second here, folks. We've got my esteemed colleague will be joining us here in just a second. I got to get him all added here onto the stream. In case you guys weren't here yesterday, you know, we have fun with those kinds of things sometimes. In case you guys caught the community stream yesterday. Okay. No. There we go. Bam. Okay. I'm sorry about this, folks. Give me just a minute. I know. Look, we got dead air time. We got some dead air time. You guys can't hear anything. All you're doing is seeing a whole bunch of nothing, seeing a bunch of clicking. But if you give me just a minute, we will be ready in just a minute. Okay. Now. All right. Again, folks, this is why I, usually try to get all this stuff done before we get on. But hey, sometimes we have to go. We have to go, take it as it goes. And believe me, if you guys were here last night, you were here with me through it. As we had some fun bringing our friend Mike Porter onto the show. And yeah, well, I guess we could leave it at that. Because if you weren't here, you probably won't know about it. Okay, now let's see. Just about got it, guys. And let's see. I think we should be good to go. Okay. Bam.
Hello.
What's up? How's it going? Everybody let me know if you can hear Chillmonger down in the chat. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear him. I can hear him good.
If you can hear me, type Monica.
So how you doing today, man?
Hey, that was a refreshingly good, fine episode of WandaVision.
Absolutely. What would you rate it at?
It's definitely a 10. The single episode had me on the edge of my seat beginning to end. You can't deny that. What it did to prior episodes, though, is make them irrelevant.
It really does for the most part, and it's something I was talking about even with Mike last night was that we get everything we've gotten, especially like after the last episode. There's been the rumors that these next couple episodes were going to be very long. Even I was thinking this episode would be longer than 40 minutes.
I was happy to see the 40 minutes, 47 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna say I'm perfectly okay with it, and so then it begs the question, that rumor that there's gonna be an episode that's like over an hour long and everything, and I'm kind of like I'm not sure that we're gonna get that. I'm not sure that we really need it. It kind of makes me wonder about that. The other people have been floating rumors out there about a 10th episode. I'm like, oh man, I feel like we need it, but I feel like every instance we get, I'm always gonna feel like we need more.
Yeah. You're valid, though. It's a valid need, especially after we got Mandalorian and we got more. But when they do it over here, the sitcom stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and certainly like I think the last episode and definitely this episode too do kind of make like you're saying, like do I even need to watch the rest of those episodes? What for?
Mm. Because all of the civilians are just civilians of Westview, New Jersey. Westview is a real town that the police officers didn't know because their mind was wiped or some hex magic. We got confirmation of that, whether or not it was real or whether it wasn't real. Okay, understood. But I'm not going back to episode 1, 2, and 3. Maybe even episode 4. Actually, no, that's with the blip in the beginning. We need that episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then like what is there anything that they could possibly do in the series to make you to bring rewatchability for you to of those first few episodes?
No, because it's not even really Vision. It's a guy who's going to work, trying to impress his boss, but the guy won't exist after this episode is done. When he tries to leave the hex, he's not real. The actual Vision, we now know, was dug up. They tried assembling and disassembling, and he tried his best to make a final Vision. Then he got a source from Wanda's hex chaos magic powers, and now the real Vision is back. Or is he back and he remember his old things, his old memories? Probably not. It'll be like Groot, because the young Groot is a brand new Groot. It doesn't remember the older Groot. So maybe they'll repeat that and it's a comic book thing too, where Vision just doesn't remember his prior life. I think that this is, Vision outside the Hex right now, who was just rebooted with a brand new stone in his forehead. That's Vision. That guy who we just watched, there's no investment. The first 2, 3, I know it's a long answer, but like the first 3 episodes is him figuring out his life, but he's not going to exist after this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm like I'm loving it. Go go on.
You remember how in the X-Men Extermination from like 2 years ago, the time displaced young X-Men had their memories fused so that when they reached the age of the present, they could remember all their little adventures that Brian Michael Bendis put them on.
Okay.
That may happen there, where they say the Hex Vision will have his memories fused with real Vision. So like, okay, it still happened. But like, so what if it still happened? They cooked lobster dinner and he got a raise. So what?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. Fair enough. Now, we're jumping right in to Vision and everything, and I've got to ask you. I mean, you think at the end, like, do you think that's Vision that they just remade?
Yes, I think it's the same body. What do you mean by Vision?
Well, I mean, because they at the very end, you notice, they had the new white Vision there and everything.
So that was the thing that was on the tables that Wanda saw.
Yeah.
At the Sword headquarters. Yeah. Yes, I do think that.
I think it's very, very much. But do you think it's Vision?
What does that mean? Like the memories of Vision? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I asked because I kind of feel like what they did, I feel like they pulled a reverse Wonder Man on us, where instead of Vision being created by Wonder Man's brainwaves, like in the comic books, I feel like what they're doing here is they created Wonder Man with Vision's brainwaves, kind of in like a reverse way. And I'm not saying they're going to call him Wonder Man, but I feel like that's what they're kind of essentially doing here. And then it kind of brought me back to, especially there, seeing the very end of it. Something I've been talking about here on the on these streams is that at this point, like I really felt like Tyler Hayward by the end of this was like Grim Reaper. And I felt like when he was standing there, when they were looking at that new Vision, like the person standing next to him, that other agent there, was like Necra, in the comic books, which is real. Like this all came, like I was triggered by something else that happened in the show in Wanda's flashbacks, of once again what seemed to me like a Black Talon reference, but I don't know. But that's what I was kind of thinking out of that with the Vision thing. Like we see the new body there, it's all white. He's got I mean, it looks like they kind of replaced the stone. Obviously, his eyes look different, and it gave me that Wonder Man feel. It made me feel like they actually took and made like they reversed it. You know, you got to reverse it. You got to whip. No. We're trying to keep it PG.
They take and adapt stories even when it's not that particular character's story.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been so that's kind of what I thought about that when I seen it at the end. And the reason I'm like, did you get a chance to read the comic?
Yeah, I flipped through the pages of it, the Halloween stuff, the dad who's not really Magni. What's his name? Frank, was it?
Yeah. The well, like I was saying, I feel like Tyler Hayward here is kind of being Grim Reaper, in this sense where it seems like he's trying to use, and like I've been saying here over the past few weeks, like he's trying to utilize Vision to recreate something new. And then like we see Agatha doing in Westview, we see her trying, at this point we definitely know she's trying to use Wanda to like basically increase her own powers. And that's kind of what I've noticed in the sense of the Vision and Scarlet Witch series, between the comic books and what we're getting in the show. It seems like the parallel is their Sword's trying to use Vision, and somebody else is trying to use Wanda, and they're all trying to use these different powers to recreate or create new things. And we see that's really what this is all about. It seems like this whole series has been about creation from artificial intelligence or from magic.
Creation or filler, yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Could be. Let's see. Oh, Tiana. Oh, okay. Godfather says not Ultron, or is he? I don't know. Do you think there's any merit to Ultron having anything to do with any of this?
That would be an interesting fight to see Wanda face someone who looks like Vision, but is just Ultron recreated.
Right. Yeah, and it seems like that's pretty possible. With everything considered, that I mean, it could be Ultron in that body instead of Vision. Yeah, I think it could be, and that's something like I was even talking about in like here over the past couple of days. Is I'm kind of wondering, like, you know in the trailers we've seen that we see the whole thing where Wanda's like, hey, this is our home, and then it cuts and you see Vision. He's like, well, then let's fight for it. I started to wonder if that's him challenging Wanda, because maybe like she and Agatha, whatever happens there with them, but still Vision is like, hey, like you still need to let these people go. You need to stop this illusion and everything going on. And that's probably where she's like, hey, but this is our home. And he's probably like, well, then let's fight for it. Because he wants them free.
See, okay, listen, you just helped save episode 9 for me, because that was always in the back of my mind, because she's wearing the same clothing as it is in that trailer. So during this whole episode, I'm waiting like, I know that's coming. But now that you introduced that, I know it's coming, but I don't know if it's let's fight each other or let's fight for the city. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Interesting for the next episode. Everything's up in the air.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of what that's kind of what this leaves too, especially with everything that they gave us here in this episode too, especially with Agatha Harkness, um, you know, taking her back through time and seeing a lot of that stuff. I thought that was some pretty cool stuff. Seeing some of those flashbacks. What did you think about it, all those flashbacks?
That violet magic beats blue magic every time. They all surrounded her,
Yeah.
and then I actually was watching that with my critical eye, going, "Wait, there's witches now in the MCU? Well, where are all these guys during the Avengers? Where were all these witches?" And then she kills them. So okay, I got my answer. Sorry,
Right.
sorry, Feige. I thought you made a mistake.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of like you're saying though. I mean, it made me think. Like thinking about that, it makes you think about New Salem. They created New Salem after all the Salem witch trials, and New Salem was basically a town hidden off the map. Nobody knew about it, and it was basically a safe haven for all kinds of mages, warlocks. Just all that, all the undesirables who basically used magic and stuff like that, magic users, if you will. So it kind of makes me like, it makes me feel like there's like they have that. Like, is there a new that? And that kind of makes me think about Baron Mordo, who's still out there wanting to track down all these people. I'm like, oh man, like there's just a lot of stuff going on with that, with them introducing the witches here into the series in this way. Um,
Some supernatural things going on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so like I really did like a lot of that witch stuff, and I'm like, man, I wish we would get more of it. And I almost feel like we're going to, but like it's going to be just like, I don't know, maybe a flashback of something that was like that, because I feel like we still haven't got enough of Agatha. Maybe at that time, I feel like there might be something else to that, which leads me to believe that maybe the next episode is going to be longer than we think.
It should be longer just because it's the finale, but longer than we think. What do we think? I think it'll be 50 minutes. Yeah, 3 more extra minutes in this.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And well, and here's the thing is I think maybe like 50 minutes plus credits. So we're getting about 50 minutes
Oh,
actual showtime. Is kind of what I'm feeling, but I mean, that's just what I would like, not what I think is going to be realistic. Um
right.
and I think it's going to be interesting too, because what they're going to have to give us in the next episode to give us some sort of a closure for this series. And I mean, thinking about that, and there's only that limited time that they have to do it in. But this show, aside from like those first 3 episodes, really has been really just a great pacing throughout the series, and making you feel like you're getting more within that, those 35 minutes that you got coming out of the show.
I would disagree with that. I felt like I got filler, and I felt like the commercials meant nothing. We didn't get a commercial in this episode.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is 6 episodes with commercials. So maybe the Infinity Stone theory is true.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of, yeah. I think we were well, and I don't know, because it seems like a lot of that stuff. Like, you mean like the Infinity Stone stuff, like having to do with the commercials?
Yeah, each commercial represents a stone.
Yeah, I
The
think
toaster,
I think
the
it could.
watch, it represents the time stone. But like, who cares? By now we would have deciphered the puzzle.
Yeah.
Now I think it's just time for action.
Right.
Wanda versus Agatha, and let's fight for the kids. What's Vision's plan going to be? Action. He's going to enter the hex, and there'll be more fighting. Monica's there. Snooper's going to snoop, according to Evan Peters' Fietro. So let's see Monica
Pietro.
versus Fietro.
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, dude. Once again, dude. Gotta say, Catherine Hahn, freaking love it. And you know what? I gotta say something else. Whoever's doing the hand acting, on this show, they're doing a great job. Whoever's putting them through the little classes, their hand acting classes, they're doing good, because Catherine Hahn, man, like I'm like, dude, she's all like doing her little, when she's doing her little spells, and even Wanda throughout the series, they're doing. I'm like, oh yeah, they got their hands all doing all these little gnarly things and stuff. I'm like, it's pretty sick. I like it.
Mm.
they're really putting a lot of love into this series, man. I'm telling you, and it's great. It's great. And I think that even shows in the first few episodes, just kind of the love they put into it, even for somebody not I don't know. I feel like somebody not even engaged with those episodes still got to kind of appreciate the fact that they did that to kind of put, like, pay homage to everything that they were doing in the series as well. Now, getting it back into some of those flashbacks, one thing I got to ask you is, it was 10 years old when these bombs dropped, right? The kids were 10 years old. So that would put, we know they were born in what they say 89.
Okay.
I think that's what they said in the episode. What is it, episode 4? And 10 years later, you got to think they're in what, 99, right? Somewhere right around that time.
Iron Man 3 New Year's.
Yeah. I started wondering about this because we've been chopping it up about Malcolm in the Middle. Where'd they get that box set of DVDs that soon? It seems very soon.
Okay.
It seems very soon for them to be 10 years old, and when that show would have came out.
How do you know? How do you know they were 10 years old?
Well, it was that was one of the things they said when with all the information they've given us throughout the movies, is that they were 10 years old when their parents were killed.
There's a line that says that, then you nailed them. If there's like a line, a quote where I could watch on Disney Plus, closed caption it, and it'll say 10 minutes, 10 years old, I'm gonna screenshot that and post it on my Twitter, because that is a flaw. You get your no prize. You found a way.
But that's what I'm kind of wondering is, like, there'd be a very small window there. And that's the thing, is like, we don't know exactly when it is, but that's what made me wonder. And also, I mean, if it's that, considering those years, it seems like her connection to them might not be as high, I would think, but I could be wrong. I mean, they somehow got those DVD sets.
I think that the kids looked older than what Billy and Tommy looked like, and those kids were 10 years old. I'm just gonna look out for my Disney Plus people and say that no, they didn't F up.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I remember seeing that DVD set. I'm like, DVD sets come out like way later, like, than when a series airs and comes out. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it seems like TV seasons come out way later on DVD, especially back in them days. Back in the early 2000s, and that's what else I was kind of thinking of too. I'm like, when did like the DVDs make it big enough that they would be selling them in Sokovia in that manner? And they have, I don't know, like, a lot of these things kind of just kicking around in my head too, just like wondering. Now, one of the other things that we got in the flashback was when she was there with Hydra, and that's what I was kind of thinking, like, maybe where the commercials were at, was because we did see the bomb there where they showed that flashback. The one with the watch could have obviously been tied to the experiments with Hydra, but I don't think that was when they were there. I don't think that was Strucker. It didn't seem like Strucker and Dr. List that were there doing the experiments on Wanda, because
that wasn't Strucker. That wasn't the guy in the Age of Ultron movie. Okay,
well,
who was it?
I don't feel like it would have been, because if they were there doing those experiments at that time, I mean, I feel like they would have got the same actors, because they looked like, if that was Strucker and Dr. List, and then you fast forward, we're doing those experiments. I mean, and you think about 10 years later when we would have seen them in, for, like, say, Age of Ultron, or even the Captain America post credit scene. They sure would have aged up a lot.
What makes you think it took 10 years? The Loki Scepter was taken in 2012, and Age of Ultron is in 2015. It happened in between those 3 years.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, even more so then, by the time the kids would have enlisted to be volunteers and they experimented on them to where we see them. I mean, yeah. I mean, even then, the window closes even more, that they would age up from looking like we see them in the movies to what we seen there in the show, and because that's why I was wondering, like, that can't be Strucker. I mean, surely they would have got the same guy, because it would have been around the same time period. And even with the other guy, Dr. List, it would have been around the same time period that we seen them in like Age of Ultron, and even that Captain America post credit scene. So that's why I was kind of wondering. I was like, maybe those were just some of the scientists they had running experiments or something. Because
Yeah, they could have been any scientist. I thought it was Strucker, but I guess it wasn't. I'll take your word for it. You probably, the guy's name, the other one name, List.
yeah,
Huh?
Dr. List. And that's the other
Huh?
thing though, is they kind of look like they would be younger versions of both of those characters, but I'm like, they would be at the same time within that handful of years. And like you say, like I was sitting there thinking about like 10 years from the time that they would have had, but then from when the twins would have been orphaned. That's what all I was thinking, like from when they would have been orphaned, like that short amount of years. Like even more so, they wouldn't have aged that much.
Hmm.
Just I feel like
Neither would Wanda, because Wanda replayed herself from younger, which is only 3 years ago. She was blipped, and this happens right after the blip, so she could still play the younger version of her.
right. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Just something I noticed there when they were there, flashing back to to those experiments and everything like that. And again, they did pretty much give the implication that it obviously that she had her magic and was using her magic at that point, but they didn't really say that it. How would you say necessarily gave her the mutant genes? More like it kind of like I've been definitely speculating that it just kind of revealed them. It put her under the stress to reveal her mutant powers more so than gave her mutant powers.
But what's this about chaos magic?
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's the other thing too, is getting into the chaos magic when it comes to all of that stuff, because
And how she is the one, the Scarlet Witch, and there could only be one Scarlet Witch. So I don't think it was mutant power. Maybe that explains Pietro, but not Scarlet Witch.
yeah, I mean, well, because the thing is, there's definitely a difference, and I noticed they talk about that in the comic books, the difference between actual magic and her mutant magic, where her mutant hex powers are affecting probability outcomes, basically
Mm.
probability, like almost like Domino, how Domino's lucky, kind of like that, like they showed with the bomb there.
A probability hex, yeah.
Right. As opposed to her actually just using, and that's the difference between her having that and obviously with her regular magic that she knows, like Agatha knows, because that's what Agatha's asking. She's like, dude, how do you do that? And that's where we're kind of getting more of like the Nexus being and that, like those kinds of things kind of confirmed here, in that sense. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, there's just so much of this stuff was I don't know. Again, I feel like they've given us so much and leaving us with so many questions that, like, in one episode, one more episode that's like 40 minutes is gonna give us closure on this season.
No, it won't give us closure. There will be no more mutants. There will be multiverse gaps, and there will be reasons for us to have Wanda appear in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's something else too. We've been talking a lot about is like the connections with Doctor Strange, and all the rumors that it's going to be a little bit connected to Spider-Man 3 as well. Which obviously from that title reveal, it looks very much like it's going to be with the way they
No way
revealed that,
home. Hmm.
because the whiteboard. Gotta look out for whiteboards, man. But all the little stuff that they had there, where they were naming off the different names, and you seen they had all the little hexagons and everything in there, and I thought that was very interesting. Very interesting seeing some of that stuff. And I gotta ask you. I want to ask you, thinking about that, because we know Doctor Strange is in the multiverse of madness. I really don't feel, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is the multiverse in the MCU. I still don't feel like they've even touched that in the movies or in the MCU at all. As far as like there being an actual multiverse, because like Avengers Endgame, they talked about quite a bit about it actually being time travel, how they were going back to the past to get these things, and that's why they had to take them back. Otherwise, it would affect branch timelines and all of that kinds of stuff, right? Some of that meddling,
Okay.
which they did obviously
I
do
just
one, but it makes me feel like they set that up to be time travel. Do you think that was actually them doing multiverse as opposed to actual time travel?
yeah. Yeah, I disagree with like the first part of what you're saying.
Right.
It's not time travel at all. It's leaving your branch, and I'll call it a different universe. So they left Earth 199999, and they went to an Earth where it was the year 2012, and there was a Hulk, and there was all of they did the whole circle shot. Now in this other Earth, let's call it Earth 4, just to be simple. They're in Earth 4 now. They go and Hulk talks to the Ancient One. Let me get that time stone from you. Cool. And everyone that goes everywhere. And of course, Loki F's everything up. But so yes, that is the one branch. That universe, Earth 4, is wonky because of what Loki did. But every other stone, when Captain America went on his little mission at the end of Endgame to return the stones, he put everything back in its place, with the exception of the Loki stuff, which we will get an answer to
Right.
during his show.
Oh yeah.
Is that answer? So like that's why I disagree with everyone saying it was time travel. It
Right.
was a branched reality in which they exited, used the stone from that, borrowed it, and then they returned the stone the moment that it was taken away, so that nothing funny happened except for the Loki branch.
Right. Yeah, and that begs to question then, like, then as far as we know, then there would be only the two branches from deviating from what we have so far,
No,
right?
no, because Thanos is from the 2014 branch, and Thanos died, so they meddled
Right. A
more
little too
in that one.
much.
Now, well, killing Thanos is not a bad thing, so people are happy about that.
Definitely. Yeah, and because that's what kind of made me when I started to think about it, I'm like, well, like and then that's what I was thinking about in Avengers Endgame. They were talking about it was time travel. I'm like, if we go by that, we haven't got any multiverse anything in the MCU. If we go by the fact if they were actually doing time travel there, they haven't given us anything multiverse in the MCU. Because I know a lot of people, and I was talking about this the other day, kind of always hanging on to what happened in Spider-Man 3, where he was
Yeah, I
sitting
heard
there
you.
talking to Mysterio, and he's like, "Oh, you talking about the multiverse?" And he's like, "Dude, like that was a Guterman script." He was just making like Guterman may know, they may know about that kind of stuff, but they still never really introduced any of that kinds of stuff there.
Now, Guterman made it up, but the Sword Agents, Talos and his woman, they believed that because they watched what just happened with WandaVision, which we're gonna find out she's gonna do some sort of chaos magic to make a portal from one universe to another. And he's there like, oh, multiverse? Yeah, we know all about that. We'll believe it. Guterman, the guy who's writing up the script, he just threw a shot in the dark. And apparently, that's the sort of stuff that people want to believe right now.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's what's kind of interesting about it all, because I'm like, they really haven't made any other allusions to the multiverse until like the first is really like Doctor Strange, and here we're pretty much assuming that she's breaking it, with everything that she's doing, at some point, with all the stuff that she's doing. So yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
well, we thought it was Pietro, but it's a Fietro.
Right.
So now we're just holding out hope that the last episode will open up a way from one movie universe to another universe, multiverse. You know what's also interesting about Far From Home? And I was watching The Canadian Lad on YouTube, and he explained the witch stuff is what that one teacher was joking about. He's like, "This is witchcraft. This is witchcraft." Far From Home happens 10 months after this WandaVision stuff happens. So witches are on his tongue because of what Wanda is doing. Maybe what happens here becomes public knowledge that there's actually
Right.
witches.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because what was it JB Smooth's character, right?
That character, yeah. The less funnier of the teachers.
Yeah.
I like the other one who wanted to take a cool picture of himself on the waters.
Yeah, the one who lost his wife in the blip.
Apparently, Never got blipped.
Yeah. Whoops.
See, remember how funny the blip used to be before we saw the opening of episode 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of it. Like in Spider-Man: Far From Home, like they kind of put that stuff out there with the teacher, and it's kind of like, man, like that's really like that's pretty messed up. Like that's pretty messed up. And that was, because you seen some of that kind of stuff. Even like they had like Aunt May. She's like, oh yeah, it was so weird. We're in the apartment, like, hey, all of a sudden there's new people living there. Like, dude, that would really be like some really crazy stuff. If you think about it, which I think could very well lead to a lot of the confusion with Westview. And obviously we've seen when Wanda arrived in Westview here in the series, they showed us that it was just like a like the town was broken. All the people, you could see they were devastated and everything, because this would have been, how much time after the blip being re-blipped back after Tony's snap. I don't feel like it would have been very long, especially given the kind of the, I don't know, I feel like the time frame that Hayward has given us for when all this has taken place wasn't very soon after Avengers Endgame, after that snap. But the town definitely looked like a lot of people were still kind of in that state, probably like they had just come back and were like, oh man, like what do we do? Like we have loved ones gone, because there could have still been other people that died in the meantime that didn't get snapped away as well. Like we even seen oh man, what's her name, Mrs. Hart, when she was sitting there without her husband. And it kind of made me think, like, man, maybe he actually died in the meantime, and
that
was
made you think. No, oh, Trinity, you're overthinking this one, brother. You got to let that one go. Mrs. Hart is just a character who lives in New Jersey. That's all that was.
Well, but my thing is, I think that like maybe she like through Wanda's the spell she's got on the town, and which was kind of what Agatha was pointing out, is that she's kind of making people happy. She made Mr. Hart come back to life because maybe he was actually gone. Because like I said, a lot of the town still looked devastated there after they had basically come back from the blip. And I think that's kind of what like you're saying, it sets that horrific scene. Like, damn, like it's pretty messed up. It's a pretty messed up.
Okay,
situation.
in House of M, she gives everybody who's under her powers, which is the whole world over there, gives everybody what they wanted. So here she's giving Mrs. Hart what she wanted, which is her husband back. She may have been a widow. Okay, that would salvage her.
Well, I was gonna say, we even seen what's his name, Phil Jones. He was sitting there. He looked all sad. He's like, piano lessons, putting up his little flyer, and he didn't seem like he was very happy neither. Yeah, and that's what was kind of making me wonder. Like, man, even Herb was, you seen him sitting there walking across the street, kind of looking all, he didn't look too happy. He didn't look like the happy Herb that we know. And that's something that Pietro actually had said in that previous episode too, where he was talking about that. He's like, hey man, you kind of improved everybody's life, made them happier, gave them better jobs, and a lot of those kinds of things. So yeah.
Still, when one of them was taken away from their trance, we're trapped. Wanda's ruining everything. So how happy are they really being made? At least that one guy.
Well, and see, and that's the thing. And that's the thing though, is like giving people what they want versus what they need is where a lot of that comes down to, and stuff like that, which really comes down to, like, I think the kind of pain and suffering like Wanda is going through with a lot of those things, psychological type of stuff, really. But yeah, so let's get here into the live chats and see what everyone's saying. I mean, we've been sitting here flapping our gums forever, and they've been sitting in here hanging there with us, listening to us. Let's see here.
Wanda gave her hair.
Okay, ReeferMan says total time so far estimated with credits is just under 5 hours runtime so far. All right. Yeah. One could.
Well, if you don't watch the first 3 episodes and you skip all of the sitcom stuff, that's 1 hour of WandaVision that we can go back to see.
Reefer says one could argue that the whole series is rewatchable for the art of it. He
You can
says
argue that.
he says also White Vision racist much. And that's when Godfather says Black History Month is almost over. Oh, I see what you guys are doing there. Yeah. Does Hayward have a brother? Do you think Hayward has a brother?
No.
I'm kind of thinking there's something to it. I'm kind of thinking there's something to a lot of this. Like I said, because I've kind of guessed that he is Grim Reaper, like a maybe a version of Grim Reaper. So that's what kind of makes me wonder if, you know, like I said, it seems like they pulled a reverse Vision on us, where they're using his brainwaves or whatnot to recreate a new Vision. Let's see. Young Nine Slim says, I think both Visions will join together. You think that's possible?
Yeah, it's what I was suggesting. Just so that all of the memories we saw in WandaVision won't be for nothing. But even then, like, it is still for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess
You know,
that would make sense, because if he can get him inside of the hex and everything and do all that, yeah, I think that's very possible.
Magic, it's all possible.
Yeah. Young Slim also says, are the kids real outside the town? Because Vision died when outside the town.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the kids are dead after this, and then we can recast some new actors to play Wicked and fucking Speed.
Right.
Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Well, and I think you're right there. I think you're right there because like, and that's the interesting thing, because Agatha actually said, like, you're creating things. You can actually, like, create stuff. Like, how are you doing this? That's what she was trying to figure out. Like, how are you creating this stuff? You created Vision in here. Because we've seen clearly they still had Vision. Sword still had Vision. She didn't even have him. She was manifesting these things. And that's what we've seen when we've seen Vision go outside the hex. Like, his body was real and everything, but it was being sucked back into the hex. So it kind of lets us know that her illusions so far, in that sense, or the things she's manifesting, can't exist outside the hex. And did she create those kids? It seems pretty much like it at this point.
Only thing that's left the hex is that Stark Industries drone, and it has her aura of her magic outside of it. The thing is, the Stark Industries drone wasn't changed or nothing, since it was already an 80s style drone.
Right.
What's the other one? The clothing of Monica was reworked into some new material. That is the only two things we saw enter and exit. Not even Franklin, the bug. What's his name? The beehive guy.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him.
The beekeeper guy. Yeah.
Yeah, like he should have the same powers Monica has, or something like that. His X-rays should be light, because I'll give him that.
It could be, but the thing is, like, I don't know, because like it seemed like he went through and everything was just fine, and I kind of feel like Monica went through the first time and was just fine. I feel like what changed her was when she got launched out of the hex, when Wanda got all pissed off.
Okay, yeah, that gave her the X-rays. You're right.
And then I feel like getting back into the hex probably isn't possible at this point. In the way that Franklin went in, because we see it's all red now and everything. Especially by the time we got the post-credit scene in this episode. Like, I'm not sure that it's for they can even send somebody in at that point now. So I don't think he would. I wonder
if there's any. But if there's any superheroes with the name Franklin in Marvel, they may not be like the most popular name, but like if there is a superhero named Franklin, that's the origin right there.
Right. Well, that would be Bob and, well, I mean, they're Frank, not Franklin. Bob and Madeline Frank, who are Whizzer and Miss America, but that's Frank, not Franklin. So I just, you know, just throwing that out there. Let's see. Robert St. Clair is here. Says, is this show really a traditional end point, or just a launching for some of these characters to be introduced in the show? We really don't know how these Marvel series work. Absolutely, Robert St. Clair, and that's kind of something I've been. I mean, we've even talked about here, is where I feel like these are really just kind of great ways for them to expand the Marvel universe as opposed to having to give us origin stories and things like that for certain characters, where these shows may not necessarily have like that endpoint. They may give us a closure to a certain story, but not necessarily an endpoint where like bam, this is it. It's like an expansion of everything. Not something that you necessarily have to watch for all the movies, but definitely an expansion of all those ideas and everything they're going to be putting in the movies.
For this episode, for this series, I mean, I don't think I need closure to the hex, whatever. And everything that's happening in there isn't really happening. And when Wanda stops making it happen that way, which will be in episode 9, there won't be a hex in New Jersey after episode 9. And that's a guess. Obviously, I don't know, but all right, that's my closure there. That's closure enough for me.
Right. Yeah, and I feel the same way. And it leaves me, I mean, again, coming back to the question, I mean, do you think there will be a second season? No?
No, I don't think so.
Robert St. Clair says the commercials don't represent the stones. They represent the mental trauma in Wanda's life. Yeah, I think for the most part, that's kind of what I'm getting out of them.
Then why stop at 6? It's got to be the stones. It's a hex.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think probably because in a sense, the stones kind of represent a lot of what took just about everything from her in Thanos' quest for the stones and things like that, being that he had the gauntlet and all that. And that's really the only way that he was able to defeat them. So, I mean, it could be that. I mean, maybe it's kind of all of it. Maybe it's all combined. Because, I mean, I guess they do kind of represent the trauma that she's kind of endured, really.
Or maybe it's, hey, we realize that our episodes are really short. Is there any way we could make it longer? Yeah, let's just hire these 2 actors to do some little spots. They'll be filled with Easter eggs, and it'll keep the fans entertained. And it was all for nothing.
Oh man, you can't leave me hanging like that, man. You're making it, Chillmonger. You're part of the Plus gang, and I feel like you're telling me. I feel like you're telling me that in Feige we can't trust.
Oh, is that what I'm saying? But I mean, we blame the director for this one. That's Matt Shackman's fault. Yeah.
All right. Robert St. Clair says her memories are scrambled and repressed. The TV shows could just be misremembered. She was watching the Brady Bunch in the Hydra lab about Cindy wanting her doll to come alive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, obviously, we've got a Brady Bunch nerd here. I used to watch it when I was a kid, but I don't remember all that stuff. But then again, maybe Robert St. Clair, maybe he's just that good, or maybe he went and watched a YouTube video. I don't know.
That's all it takes.
Either way, good point. Because I do remember seeing the episode and then her with the doll, and then we ended up seeing the doll in the series in the first place as well. So yeah. ReeferMan says, I was waiting for Agatha call Wanda a mutant. I really thought that's what she was building towards for about a second there. Yeah. And I feel kind of like that's what they gave us the illusion to, was that she was a mutant, and that's probably why a lot of this stuff didn't affect her and Pietro in the way that it did. A lot of the other people the volunteers. A Dude Review says, my favorite episode so far. Yeah, definitely.
Mine too.
Definitely.
10.
Yeah. Definitely the best episode so far. Red Raven 96 says, yeah, I like that episode a lot. Yeah, absolutely. I like when her dad gave the sitcom DVDs. It was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Mads Mama Bear, how are you doing? I hope all is well. A Duder says, this last episode better be at least an hour long, not including credits. Yeah, I like I said, I would like it to be longer. I just don't know that it's going to be. Robert St. Clair says, so if Howard Stark or Hank Pym couldn't have deviated the timelines by sitting and waiting for Steve Rogers to return, because you know how they noticed things were missing. So if Howard Stark...
Repeat that?
Says, so if Howard Stark or Hank Pym couldn't have deviated the timelines by sitting and waiting for Steve Rogers to return. Because they noticed... because like you noticed like Hank Pym noticed like the particles were missing out of the lab.
Yeah, I mean, so yes, timelines were definitely deviated, but the time that the Stones disappeared and they went back into their watch and Tony and Steve left New Jersey in 1970, I am to believe that a second later, Steve Rogers, who just fought the Endgame battle, came back and said, I'm going to put this stone right here, and it's going to be encased in a Tesseract because he's got the Infinity Stones, and he's like, yeah, he'll make it happen. He's got all the Infinity Stones. He can do anything he wants. Boom. I made a Tesseract covering the, is it Space Stone?
Yeah.
Put it there. And then he goes, next stop, Vormir. And he goes away. So, of course, it's deviated. Of course, Hank Pym's missing his particles. Right. It's just, so what? The Time Stone is back. Space Stone is back.
Right.
So the threat that the Ancient One was making us be afraid of isn't there anymore. The time can flow naturally.
Yeah. Well, my thing with that, like, because believe me, that's something I actually thought about too with the Hank Pym thing, noticing those particles were gone. Well, my whole thing is, I think that would be the point in which he started not trusting Stark, because they have a rocky relationship. They always have. And I think that's where it started, is probably right there from that scene. There's probably missing those particles, and he's like, dude, where are my particles? Where'd they go? Yep. Who's trying to steal my stuff and trying to replicate it?
That branch where that happened, where Hank Pym is missing his particles, is not the MCU we've been watching. It never happened in the MCU that we've been watching from Captain America: First Avenger until now. That happened in a different branch. His trust for Stark did not originate from that moment, because that moment hadn't happened with the real Hank Pym that we watch today.
It could be, but then we could get into divergent timelines about maybe if they did.
It's a divergent timeline.
Well, yeah. But maybe somebody else in the regular timeline actually went and took the particle sometime after that, soon after that. And maybe that actually prevented basically him suspecting somebody else, or or somebody else getting it. Maybe maybe put it under lockdown and like, dang it, like I can't get it now. Which they were the original. You know what I mean? Like, again, a divergent timeline, because that person couldn't get it. Which we all know the person who would get a hold of that, who would probably know how to replicate it if he didn't already invent it himself, which is the great Dr. Arnim Zola. Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Oh, man. Louis the 13th, thank you so much for being here. Chillmonger is here in the chat, says they noticed it was missing and guess where it went. Yes, that's deviated time. So did Hawkeye calling his daughter downstairs. Yeah.
In that test run that they had, because they didn't have that much Pym particles, he's like, honey, and she comes downstairs, Dad? And then she goes back upstairs. Well, they deviated time. When he walked from the shed to his home, he stepped on the grass, which ruined the anthill of it. And the whole ecosystem is just different in that little branch reality he created. Does it change anything? No, an Infinity Stone wasn't missing.
Yeah. Well, essentially what you're talking about there is chaos theory, is it not? Which is kind of interesting, considering we're talking about chaos magic here too.
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with chaos theory, but it's the domino effect. Is that the same thing as that?
Yeah, like a butterfly and wherever flaps its wings, and the tide in wherever goes higher, because just that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, what was that Ashton Kutcher movie? Did you ever see that one? The
butterfly.
Yeah. That is pretty much what it is. Let's see. Red Raven says, "I'm glad we're getting more Marvel shortly after this too." Yeah, definitely. We're getting Falcon and Winter Soldier, and after that should be, if nothing changes, should be Black Widow right after that. That would then take us into the Loki series coming out soon after that. So, yeah.
I'm hopeful for Black Widow coming out on time. I was watching the news. Well, not the news channels, the news. I don't watch the news because you shouldn't read or watch the news and let them influence your opinion. But I was actually searching COVID numbers, and Americans have they peaked. It's not like, oh, the vaccine's working. I feel like, yo, everyone who was gonna get it got it, and now it's just
Right.
getting a lot better. Same here in my country. We're just doing better.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Peter Ferret says it must have been less than 3 weeks. Monica returns 3 weeks after she returns, and the hex has already started. Yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking too. Well, because the one thing that Hayward says is that when they're talking to when he lied to Jimmy Woo and them, he said 9 days ago she came in here and stole the Vision's body, blah blah blah. So that would have been got us at 9 days right there. At 9 days. So how much from those 9 days to when she went there and got the body, from the snap, from basically Tony's funeral and everything, all that, how much from that point until she went and stole the body? And I do think it's probably only weeks. I don't think it's very much time had passed.
And he lied to her, to Monica, when he said, yeah, we only got access to this 7 hours ago. Yeah. You were there when it happened. You fabricated the audio and the video, and you made it look like she broke into it when she really was like, I don't need a key card. Hocus pocus. That's how it went down. And you're faking it just to get on Jimmy Woo's bad side.
Right.
You don't ever get on Jimmy Woo's bad side.
Right. Absolutely. And you know, it's funny too, because that was something that I was noticing. I think I really started paying attention to here over. I think I may have even brought it up last week when we were talking that the sword agents there did not seem freaked out when Wanda went storming in there. Even when she even that the footage that he showed us when Wanda goes and she breaks through the door, there's nobody in that office throughout that whole building reacting to her freaking out in any kind of way whatsoever. And I thought it was funny when we actually watched this episode and we see exactly that. Nobody had any cause for alarm because she was there. She was there, you know, willfully, just like, hey, you know,
she's an Avenger.
Yeah, and she was there just kind of being patient, like, hey, I just want to see my husband, and you know, I want to, you know.
It appears that it's public knowledge about the fight that she had with Thanos because Jimmy Woo knew how it happened.
Right.
So maybe it was streamed. You know, they're like, oh, this is what happened in Jersey. Camera from War Machine's, you know, helmet recorded this, and we got this part from Pepper Potts's, and this part from Tony Stark's. So we have 3 vantage points of what happened in the big final endgame battle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the footage came from.
Yeah, and that's yeah, like I said, like nobody seemed freaked out when she was there. They're not like, because and we've seen that in this episode where, like, you know, she was there like, hey, like I just want to see my husband. He needs a proper burial and all of that stuff. Because there was a lot of
that.
Go on.
Yeah, that proper burial stuff that feeds off of the conversation Hawkeye had with Wanda, and it helps build off of what Endgame ended with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I thought it was all interesting too, because like we see obviously that Hayward has, you know, had his intentions in the first place, and we noticed that they said it hadn't come alive until she got there, and it hadn't reacted to anything. And it was interesting because when she goes in there to that reviewing room to see him, that's what he was saying. He's like, you know, he's asking, he was like, are you sure that's all you want? And because obviously at that point when she had arrived at the facility for however long she had been waiting there before she got impatient, it had obviously never reacted and done anything until she got there. And that's kind of what he was talking about, because you know, and then he mentioned later, he's like, all it took, you know, to reanimate this thing was a little bit of a power from the source. So I thought that was very interesting as well. Just all of these kinds of things, the way it's all coming about.
Yeah, he also gaslit her when he said that, hey, not everyone has the power to bring back their soulmate back online. He was trying to bring the Vision back. He kept on breaking its body apart, reconfiguring it back together, and he's just gonna throw in that little hint to Wanda, like, yo, you got the power to bring this guy back.
Right.
She didn't do that, right? And she brings Vision back in her own way with the Hex.
Mm-hmm.
But we know he was thinking about Wanda using her powers to bring him back, because at the end credit scene, we needed the source from Wanda's magic to bring Vision back. That's why he said exactly those words to Wanda back at the Sword headquarters when Vision's body was laid apart. He's like, yo, she's about to put this guy together.
Right.
A new sentient weapon, but it'll work for us. Ha ha ha.
Right.
This guy, he's no hero at all.
Yeah, no, he's a bad guy, and that's why I say to me it gives me the implications that he is like maybe like that MCU version of Grim Reaper, in that sense where maybe Simon Williams isn't necessarily like a real thing, like his actual brother, but for whatever reason, it's kind of ending up being like that because he's wanting to utilize Vision to create this or their sentient weapon again. Yeah. Um, let's see. Peter.
Anybody a Pokemon fan in the live chat? The Pokemon live thing that I was just watching before I came on here was poor, and I'm gonna vent about that in like an hour or so.
All right.
Just saying.
Justin Simone is here. Says opening up the supernatural and multi-dimensional aspect of the MCU. Yeah, definitely. And that's the interesting thing here because this obviously is going to be like I don't feel we're going to be done with Agatha Harkness necessarily, or at least the witch stuff, like the magic stuff, after this series. Obviously, everything here is going to play into the multiverse with Doctor Strange, which is going to affect Spider-Man. I really do feel like a lot of the stuff we're getting out of here as well is going to tie into the Eternals with that cosmic microwave background radiation. How that stems from the Big Bang and all that stuff, how it's going to tie to the Eternals. I'm wondering what the tie is going to be with, say, maybe Black Widow and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Do you think this is going to feed into any of those in any kind of way, like some tendrils going out there and touching it a little?
I think Black Widow and Falcon and Winter Soldier will connect.
Definitely.
I don't think that WandaVision connects with that. WandaVision might connect with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man. Falcon's got his own thing with Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I think the only and that's why I'm kind of wondering here in the sense where we see like Sword here as well is we're dealing with power structures, and I think that's what a lot of this next phase is going to be dealing with is like with power structures and more psychological type of things because that's what we see Wanda going through is a lot of these kind of psychological battles, and then it seems like Black Widow is dealing with a lot of like power kind of structures and who has the power to control what narrative or weapons or and different things like that and control people essentially.
And I want to add that Black Widow appears to be in the Loki trailer. You know the exact scene I'm talking about where it looks like there's a woman with red hair. Now, if that's the case, then Loki is attached to Black Widow in that form.
I don't think that's Black Widow.
Okay.
I can't remember. I remember when I was watching that scene, and there was somebody else, and I can't remember what character I was thinking it was when we went to when I was talking about it. It seems like it's been so long ago. I can't remember what character I was thinking it was. And if anything, I would think like maybe it's like Enchantress or something.
Okay. She has red hair too.
No, not at all. She has blonde hair, as a matter of fact. But I was gonna say I can't remember what character I was thinking it was. That's the thing. I was like, I have to go back. I want to see if I can dig through and find that video. But there was somebody that I had a feeling that was as opposed to Black Widow because I know a lot of people were thinking that. But I thought the body looked even a little bit different too. Let's see. ReeferMan says finale will be bonkers. I can't wait. I'm hyped for Loki more. So the Falcon show better bit. So Loki more than Falcon. Oh, more than the Falcon show. But I'm hyped for that as well. Yeah, absolutely. A dude says finale better be longer. Oh yeah. I mean, I hope it is. Justin says I think Scarlet Witch will get another movie, series, or 2. Think of this as her first movie. However, the others won't be in sitcom format and no House of M happening in one episode. Yeah.
We get Wanda Spectrum, and then we can get Wanda Wiccan.
Yeah. I mean, I think she could possibly carry on for more in that sense. Because
I'm ready for Monica to have a movie. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, Monica Rambeau is fully fleshed out. The actress is great. I love her. But like everything about this character, and plus she's black, and you know that after the Black Panther passed, there is a hole. Like I was telling LB about that when we were talking on the podcast. Yeah, there's a gap now, and Monica Rambeau just fills it, and you get the woman love too,
Right.
which Marvel's all about filling and checking those boxes. But fans I want it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I almost kind of feel like maybe Spectrum or Photon, whichever you think she might be, I almost feel like she's going to be a big role in the second Captain Marvel movie. I just had that feeling like she's going to be probably a very prominent character in there. Not necessarily that she won't get her own movie, because I think she will. And definitely her own series. In the least.
Or series.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe her own series in the least, but to me it seems like the series are really expanding as opposed to at this point after this. Will we really need her character expanded much more? We just need her in the movies at that point.
I think it's one of the same, whether it's a movie, whether it's a series. It's all happening in the same universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except for the ones that don't happen in the same universe.
Yeah.
It's really confusing. The MCM.
It made me kind of start thinking that she probably will be, like I said, more prominent in the second Captain Marvel movie. Especially considering the connections there with Carol Danvers and everything. Her mother, Sword, the way she acted when you bring up her name.
Hey, Monica's not Spectrum; she's Comcast.
Oh man. Oh. A dude who review says they'll mix and match characters for TV series, I think, depending on storylines in the movies. Yeah, possibly so. Let's see. Justin says, I think after the success of this show, Feige realizes Scarlet Witch and not Captain Marvel is the female lead to center the MCU around.
Yeah, I knew that was coming, yeah. Because Brie Larson hates white men.
Yeah. No, well, and here's the thing is like, in the comic book, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, is not a likable character. For the most part, she's OP, she's arrogant, she's like Tony Stark.
Hey.
But and the thing is, like, in that first movie, and I've talked about this before, they gave us nothing about her. The only thing we really knew is that she was taken. She was in an explosion. She lost her memories, and she was basically kidnapped and taken to Hala and raised as a warrior and to be a hollow, just a flat, stiff board of a personality, because that's what they expect in Hala.
And then Maria gives her personality all in one speech. You are Carol Danvers. You are an asshole at times.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, and I know like people like even LB always argues this is like the Carol, like what we got in the Captain Marvel movie, aside from all the original Marvel stuff being completely brushed aside, aside from them completely disrespecting his character, the one thing is Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, is like the most comic accurate character portrayal we've had in the MCU of any of these characters. And I don't know, like I said, people like LB especially likes to argue that with me too. I'm like, it's true. Like this, I feel like anything I've read out of Captain Marvel is exactly what I got out of Brie Larson's portrayal in Captain Marvel in that movie. Same character. I feel the same way about that character, which is basically the same way that Justin Simone feels about the character, because I think the character is supposed to feel that way.
I nod in agreement. Yes.
Justin says, agreed with me. I think the trailer is for Falcon Winter Soldier a little disappointing. I feel like feel more Captain America Winter Soldier vibe from the Black Widow trailer. Falcon Winter Soldier too goofy for me. Yeah. I want espionage. Do you think it feels too goofy for you?
No.
Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Black Widow? No.
Oh no. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
What's the goofiest part is when the technician comes and says, "Hey, if you guys need me, I'll be here. I like your body specimen." And he was talking to Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I see what you're
That
saying
was not goofy.
about the slapsticky stuff for Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I think I think the trailers, they got me pretty hyped, man. Like I'm looking forward to this series. I don't really see any kind of. I don't really think it seems goofy. I mean, I think these two characters definitely have that buddy cop kind of feel to them. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, hell, look at not the TV show. Look at Lethal Weapon, right? I'm too old for this shit.
Hey, I may have said this before, but I'll repeat it. I have not been watching the Falcon Winter Soldier Super Bowl commercial, TV spots, or any new thing that they give out. This is a 6-episode series. If I get too much of it, then when I'm watching the show, I'll be like, yeah, I already seen that part. Yeah, I already seen that part. Yeah, I'm expecting that part. Just like we were talking about how Wanda and Vision are gonna have a moment where they say, let's take back this town.
Right.
I don't need that for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, I'm sacrificing the views for doing trailer reactions and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's how badly I want to enjoy Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I know I will.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, me too. Yeah, because like I said, I like those characters anyway. I know a lot of people seem to think that, it's going to do the whole, Sam Wilson Captain America thing from the comic books in this series. I really don't think it's going to do that. Like, I think it's might play up to that because I don't think he's going to be Captain America in this series. I don't think he's going to become Captain America. And I think if he does end up taking up the mantle of Captain America, it's going to be at the very end of the season for a movie, probably for whatever next movie he's going to be in, and then that'll be about the extent of it, because I think after that movie, if he's in another series or another film or whatnot, it would do just like in the comic books where he's going to hand it back and be like, nah, I'm not into it. I'm not doing this.
Yeah. And, hey, also, him being Captain America, everyone who shudders, that's the story. Whether or not he is or whether or not he's not, that's what we'll explore in this. And I'm sure it'll end, like you said, where he's like, nah, I don't need this. Where he comes into his own. He's Falcon.
Yeah, exactly. Because the trailers lead me to believe that it looks like he's coming more into his own, not becoming Captain America. That's the vibe I've gotten from the commercials. Ralph Dupree is here. Says Ralph is coming soon. He says Agatha is feeding him. Oh, the bunny. Everyone is wearing mask too. Talking about the. Oh, okay. I thought that was all part of the same thing. Yeah.
I realized how sick that is. It's eating a bug with the bunny as a herbivore. You can't be eating that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the interesting thing too, is because didn't it transform into the bird? Didn't she transform it into the bird as she sent it there too, or was it the bird and it turned into the cicada? I can't remember.
It was the bird turning to the cicada.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. It's it's pretty sick. And so, do you think? Okay, so we know Mr. Scratchy there. Who do you think Mr. Scratchy is? Do you think it's actually her husband?
Comment. Episode 9. There's no introductions. No, it's not her husband. Mr. Scratchy is just a freaking rabbit.
I think there's probably somebody embodied in there, could it be her son Nicholas Scratch? Could it be actually her husband, Ralph? I think it's somebody. But whether it makes a big difference in this next episode is to be seen.
Okay, here's characters that we may see: aerospace engineer Ralph, and what was the other one you just said right now? Scratchy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see who else could make an appearance, and then whoever the F is. What?
I was gonna say I still think Magneto and Xavier could still possibly end up showing up here.
The big cameo, which is possibly one of them. We've got 4 people who they could show up in the final episode. Will all 4 of 4 be that show up? No, probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know about Mephisto showing up or Scratch. If my husband Ralph shows up, I'd be surprised also. I'm waiting on that Luke Skywalker level cameo.
Yeah.
Which Paul Bettany said he wanted to work with, but how are you gonna work with him for one episode and make me feel like you worked with them,
Right. Well, I can't remember. I think it was in. I think last night I was watching After Dark over on the Den of Nerds Live, and they were talking about something, and Paul Bettany saying all this stuff, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, because there was the talks about White Vision coming out, and then we got regular Vision there in the Hex and everything. I was like, maybe the person that he always wanted to work with was himself, and maybe that's the whole White Vision thing, and him being there, and maybe was the joke he was making. I mean, do Marvel actors dare troll us?
Yeah, they can't do that. They'll get shot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I definitely think the rabbit's somebody. That cameo. I still think that cameo is probably going to be. I still, like I said, I still think Xavier and Magneto might show up, and I think if they show up, it'd be both of them together. I just kind of feel that way. Like they might be united.
Did they show up at the end of the Wolverine and the Japanese movie? They were together also.
Yeah. So I think that would be but I mean, again, I just don't know. Like you said, there's so much going on, and there's only this one episode left. Justin says, I'd love to see Chthon, but Mephisto more probably. I really hope it's not Nightmare, but that's just me. I think for how much they've stuck to the source material, Nightmare makes more sense. Honestly, that being the case, Justin, as much as they stuck to the source material, I think Chthon actually makes more sense than Mephisto or Nightmare. Just given the Druid tome, the Darkhold, which I thought was very interesting. A lot of people were talking about the Darkhold that we seen in the last episode being that missing book from the Doctor Strange movie. Oh. Well, in this episode, when we seen Mr. Scratchy, he was actually sitting there next to the book that was open. The Darkhold that looked like was sitting there open, and there was a book behind him, sitting right there behind him, that was a different book. I don't believe it was in the last episode, which was very interesting because it looked like one of the books from the Doctor Strange, and because on it had like a couple little markings on it, but in the middle it had a circle on it, and it had like a little tree that looked like Yggdrasil almost. And I was like, I wonder what else that has to do with, because there was the two books sitting there, and I'm like, oh man, like my mind's gonna go crazy, and we're at the end of the show, so how much more can they, like I said, how much more can they really give us and expect to just end this show? Without giving people blue balls, because I don't know what else to call it, because it would have to leave on such a cliffhanger. Like, oh my god, dude, like you cannot end this way. You can't.
We might get like a 2-hour episode, and they'll have all the time in the world to end it.
Are they like?
I don't expect that.
Are they really going to do that? Are they going to give us? Are they going to break an hour?
No, we're not gonna. We're not getting an hour.
Are we getting any closure?
Some. The Hex will be over. Yeah. Nothing more.
I think that's fair. The Hex be over, and I think and that's kind of what I was talking about last week too. The Hex be over, but maybe because Magneto, because I feel like everybody's in over their heads at this point, even with this new Vision. I think they're in over their heads at this point, and they need help beyond what they have the capabilities of, which would be why you could bring in a Magneto and a Professor X. I don't know. But yeah, I think Chthon would make more sense than Mephisto or Nightmare. A duder says June 21st, UK lockdown fully ends. Nice. Hell yeah. Nice. There was some severe badassery, says Wookie. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Starting out festivals and live music isn't back until June though. All right. Well, hey, at least you're getting some of that back, man. Like, man, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to see a live show again here in Southern California.
I'm not sure that they should be making decisions for June when we're still in February. You never know how the world will be 1 month from now. What are we doing?
Yeah. A duder says, I hope Agatha doesn't get killed off. I hope not. I hope not either. Mike Porter, what is up, my man? Says, man, I'm missing this, so help me. Wanda had her power before the Mind Stone? I think so. I mean, I think she...
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
Because she's the Scarlet Witch. She's the one with the chaos magic. She's that one and only. It looks like the Mind Stone enhanced her.
Right.
But if that bomb that Stark Industries sent didn't go off, and according to Agatha, probability hex, then yeah, she had powers.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Monica's not Spectrum. She's Comcast, says LB. Look, I'm getting caught up. Monica Rambeau is probably what she will be called. The MCU does a few code names. Yeah, and that's the kind of the thing too. Is like they don't really call anybody by most of those code names anyway. Like Vision, you know. Like they don't even call it. Like most of the people don't even call Tony Stark Iron Man. You know, nobody calls him Iron Man. Let's see. LB says I hate White Man too. Brie Larson is great. Oh man. Still waiting on that Captain Marvel video. Yeah. Well, you know why? It's because it's coming true. It's coming true. I was wrong about Wanda controlling the hex like a TV remote, but she didn't build the TV. I was so wrong. She definitely built the hex. Yes, definitely. It's all. You know what, Mike Porter? I think we've all been wrong at some point. So far. Mike Porter says Falcon Winter Soldier is goofy looking. Yeah, you can't be funny. You can't be slapsticky and have fun. Gray, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a good morning. Strange Marvel Theories is here. Says, I hope you're doing well. Been seeing you drop a lot of theory videos lately. Says, is that Tony's element in Vision's head? No, I don't think so. I mean, Tony...
I was thinking so too, bro. Why isn't it a hex or something? Why did it have to be that same little triangle that Tony uses?
Well, here's the thing is, because here's the only thing is, I just want to. The only reason I say no, and I want to clarify that is because it's not Tony's element. It's the great Dr. Arnim Zola's Hail Hydra. Yeah, I'm just saying. Hey, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Stark
But yeah, I was gonna say it very well could be. I mean, if you consider that they, I mean, maybe, I mean. It's almost like Tony with his arc reactor, how he couldn't find a way to make it work. In the sense that they wanted it to be efficient until everything that had happened. Where the same thing is kind of with that Vision. They had it, they were trying to get everything together, but once Wanda was there and she came and powered it up, all they needed was more of her power to get it powered back up. So, I mean, it could be something like that, something similar, where they just had to kind of restart it.
Good comments.
Yeah. He also says, "What if Eric Selvig makes a cameo and Paul Bettany and Stelks? Selvig, Bettany."
Eric Selvig is the dream that Paul Bettany wanted to work alongside of. Gosh, the way he was prancing in that underwear Dark World, I needed to see him.
I want Eric Selvig to return, that's for sure. Because I think he's a good character. Plus the actor too, Stellan Skarsgård, he's just great. Will Gentry says, going by what Agatha said, how she noticed the aftermath of all that power, logic would suggest it's Doctor Strange who shows up. Surely he'd have noticed that level of magic. Good point, Will. Yeah, absolutely. Good point. He surely he would have. Yeah, Doctor Strange is sure to show up next episode. Yeah, that could be, and very well that could be Luke Skywalker level cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta roll the eyes at it because like Luke Skywalker level cameo.
That's a Shmi Skywalker.
I just love it because it's so funny. Like people still running with that thing. Like, dude, like she didn't even say that. It's like it's kind of like the joke of boomers. You call somebody a boomer. Like I'm a boomer. Like you're not a boomer. Like I know. Like to say that I'm not a boomer is like the most boomer thing you can say. Like the joke is that you're not like literally a boomer when you're a boomer. So you got to keep saying it. It's like, oh weird. The Luke Skywalker level cameo.
But it's combining that thing with the Paul Bettany quote about someone I haven't worked with I'm looking forward to. And then you're just like, bro, Magneto, Michael Fassbender, or Ian McKellen. Patrick Stewart, James McAvoy, Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
It could be anybody.
When she pulled her hair strand was just like Doctor Strange in Thor.
So I actually rewatched that scene where she pulls the hair strand, and I'm thinking that was CGI, and like we'll probably never get the answer to that question, but that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gray says I am a boomer.
Says what?
She said I am a boomer.
Yeah. 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 Right. Yeah. I'm a boomer. It's all good. It's all good. Oh, Agatha Harkness is here, and she said it was her all along. Oh my God! We got a celebrity in the building. We've got the great Agatha Harkness here, along with our #plus gang member, Chillmonger himself. Dang.
Yeah, I want to Agatha. Who's been pulling every single string?
Man, I have been apparently. Man, look, I've got Plus Gang on my show. I got Agatha Harkness here. Like, bro, my channel's gonna blow up. Oh, weird. Everyone keeps connecting Nightmare to Derrickson, who isn't even doing Doctor Strange 2 anymore. Yeah.
Still, it's not like they changed the whole movie, though. They just changed the director.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to say because, like I said, Multiverse of Madness, to me, I was even talking about that yesterday, still, to me, it kind of insinuates in the Mouth of Madness. You know, the movie In the Mouth of Madness. And it's almost like Westview is, they're kind of stuck in this little town. They couldn't get out, all the people there. And it was like, it was like the devil who was doing stuff. So, I mean, it all kind of seems like it plays on everything, but yeah, I don't know. I know everybody's doing the Chinese connection thing as well with Disney and wanting to get the movies there and all that stuff. And it's like, I just don't know, like, how much they're really going to go into that or look into a lot of that stuff, which is why Nightmare would make more sense than Mephisto for the China thing. But I don't know.
I'm thinking about Nightmare and Scott Derrickson tweeting about it or hinting at it, whatever it was he tweeted.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about Nightmare because when you move director to new director, you don't change the script. You just have creative differences of what the director wanted to do.
Right. Exactly. Strange Marvel's Theory says the Darkhold might be being used to combine Ultron, who is technology, with magic too, so that Ultron can transfer his mind to a person, probably the twin, so Ultron can live on and on. That's a very plausible theory. Yeah, Wanda is the mutant X gene. Could be. I really don't know. Like on the X gene thing there, I feel like it's kind of the same thing. Like there are probably people out there who may. I mean, who knows when it would have happened that just have the X gene out there, and it's going to be kind of hard to explain the X gene always being there. If by the time they do that in the MCU, I think it's going to be tricky for them no matter what. For people to be like, hey, how do we not notice all these humans that manifest powers when they're when they hit adolescence? Let's see. Justin says she was always a mutant, but because of Fox, they had to originally introduce her different.
Oh, let me answer that. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The answer to that is Professor X is a psychic with Cerebro who can make everybody forget that there's humans who manifest powers.
Yeah.
That's
that's true. Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah. I could believe that. Well, and let's not even forget, something I was even talking about yesterday with Doctor Strange and then Spider-Man 3. Everybody talking about like, oh, Peter Parker was outed in the last movie. He's going to be a fugitive, an outlaw, and everything. Supposedly Doctor Strange is going to be like his new mentor, like Tony Stark was. And I'm like, well, to me, it just sounds like he's probably just going to, say, hey, Peter, you need to pick some better friends and keep your identity concealed. Because right now, I'm going to set this hex and make people forget who you are. So don't be such a fool next time. I think that's what's going to happen.
The revelation to Aunt May that Peter was Spider-Man happened at the end of Homecoming. We begin Far From Home, and it's like, yeah, whatever. They got over it off screen. So, yeah, this thing could get over with off screen or with one scene. Hocus pocus, they all forget.
Yeah. Will Gentry says hashtag the Vanko sham. Oh man, I love it. I love it. It's catching on. It's catching on. Mike Porter says I had to watch it twice for it to make sense. Looking forward to the third time. Absolutely, absolutely. LB says, what if the person he wanted to work with is Dumb E? Well, I don't know. I mean, did he use it? He kind of used to work with Dumb E though, didn't he? Like back in the old days in the old garage back there on Huntington Beach. Or no, where was it he lived at? It wasn't Huntington Beach. It was Malibu.
Huntington Beach is Chuck Liddell's neighborhood.
Yeah. That's not. Yeah, I was gonna say that's not. And I was gonna say a little bit more south. Will Gentry says I love Doctor Strange, but he has no Luke Skywalker level cameo. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't think so. Well, and really, even if there was going to be like that Luke Skywalker level cameo, really the only character in the MCU could say that about would be one of two people. Would be Iron Man or Captain America at this point. Because everybody else is kind of still around. And there's nobody else in the MCU that people are that invested in that would be that Luke Skywalker level cameo kind of thing. It's just always funny to laugh at that quote.
Hugh Jackman Wolverine would be really cool.
It would be cool, but I still don't think that would be like that level cameo. Only because like I don't know. Again, it was all a stupid setup kind of question that everybody's, running with in the first place, but I don't know. I think Strange cameo. I think Strange is the cameo at this point, or Strange or Wong. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. I mean, it could be either one. But LB says I don't think he's worked with Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones, Magneto confirmed. I finally got my wish. Thank you, Lord Feige.
Leslie Jones is a retired Dora Milaje.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. We are boomers together. Yeah, right. Will Gentry says, I assume she took the hair... Oh, dang it. Jumping around on me. I assume she took the hair strand the ways Doctor Strange did to create some kind of magic relevant to the person whose hair it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Forgot that happened.
Yeah. Sylvester, thank you so much for being here. Says, why she killed the dog? Yeah, right? For real. Yeah, why did she kill the dog, man?
You notice the difference in the scene? The scene where Doctor Strange takes and plucks the hair. It's like a comedic little thing where he goes, whoop, whoop, and then Thor's like, wait, what are you doing? And he's gone. It's such a fun way. See, that was her hero's way to take care. The way Catherine Hahn, Agatha did it. It's different.
Definitely. Park Outdoors, thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Air Spider 23 is in the building as well. He says, yep, I always feel the correlation in The Mouth of Madness. Nobody seems to know that movie. And it's such a great movie, too. I mean, Marvel is going to stray away from gay characters because China isn't down with that either. I don't think they are. And here's the thing, is because like when it comes to all of that stuff, and that's something I talk about here, on some of the streams as well, is like I don't really care about that. You put the gay characters in there, that's fine. The thing is, like in the MCU, we don't see people sitting here making sweet love, and we're not getting a history of violence in any of these movies. You know what I'm saying? We're not seeing like a straight up porn guised under a superhero movie. As I say, we see kissing tops, but even then, how much do we really ever see? We see an uncomfortable kiss between between Steve and everybody. We see Pepper and Tony.
Peter kisses Michelle.
Yeah, and
Peter kisses Michelle, and that's awkward.
Yeah, most of them are awkward.
At the end of the end game,
Tony and Pepper.
Cap kisses his woman at the very final scene.
Right.
That wasn't awkward.
No, that one.
Captain Marvel doesn't have a kiss. Infinity War does not have. Well, I mean, a little peck that I think Tony gives to what's her name.
Yeah.
And Wanda kisses Vision in that one too.
Yeah.
So Ant-Man and the Wasp, I want to say they kiss and make up, don't they?
Maybe
Didn't they kiss?
They might have. And the thing is that's usually what it boils down to. But again, That's the thing that got him in trouble in Star Wars, right? Oh my God. Yeah, I just, but again, I mean, and that's kind of what going with what Justin's saying there is I don't see them doing any of that stuff big time on the screen with any of that kind of stuff. It's just going to be like you're going to know who somebody cares about and who they have affections for the most part. I don't think any of the gay character stuff is going to be, you know, like all grabby and all that stuff that, you know, people make more of it than it really is, I think. I'm currently reading into the Dark High Republic book. No Star Wars talk here. What do you do? Oh. Did Agatha's rabbit eat Vanko's bird? Nice, yeah.
It's bullet.
Yeah, maybe so. The big cameo is gonna be Ghost. We won't even see her. Oh man. Relative to whoever's yeah, exactly, Gray. Whoever's saying that statement. LB says Magnegro is coming. Oh man. Is that Leslie Jones? Is that the Leslie Jones thing? Oh man. Cap, Iron Man, or Magneto Professor Expert. She never said. Yeah, exactly. Typical of today's media. Yeah. I would like to see Leslie Jones in the MCU. Telling you.
Cast her.
Telling you.
But Mike, what would you like her to be?
Dr. Doom.
Yeah, like
Dr. Doom.
Yeah. That is like the funniest answer you could have given. Yeah.
Elvis says, "Oh hell no, Wolverine! Let's point those claws of yours in a safer direction." I can see that. Oh man. But anyway, do you have any other thoughts or anything on this episode before we get ready to wrap this up?
I probably have more thoughts. Let's wrap up. Stay tuned on Chillmonger to get my thoughts further, but I'm going to compare the Agatha all along stuff compared to the reveal that Tyler Hayward actually changed the camera angles and changed the presentation of Wanda entering the Sword headquarters. And the difference is, I hate Tyler Hayward for what he did, but Agatha all along, I hate the creators of WandaVision for just withholding that information from us. That it was Agatha all along by not showing us there that she was sitting on the lawn when Pietro showed up at the door. So that's coming forward. That little versus video that I'm going to put up.
Nice. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for being here, everybody out in the chats, out there watching. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you don't like it. It's okay, but make sure you share it with your friends so they can come and dislike it as well. It'd be good, and they can get in on this great conversation. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you again, Chillmonger, for being here. You all have a good day, and we'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, tonight's the Trailer Park Live. Later.